ABC News, World News Saturday. Here's Carole Simpson.
Good evening. With the Shiite Muslim rebellion against him in southern Iraq all but over, Iraqi President Saddam Hussein has intensified a major offensive in the north against more troublesome Kurdish rebels. There are reports tonight of thousands of civilians fleeing major northern cities, of enormous numbers of casualties from heavy fighting, and of preparations by Saddam's army for a major new assault. The latest from ABC's Sheila McVicker.
Refugees stream north, away from a battle for the city of Kirkuk. Families walk with all the possessions they can carry, with all that they hope will help them survive. Forces loyal to Saddam Hussein are trying to regain control of Kurdish territory. Kurdish sources say Baghdad's army is massing north of Mosul for a major assault. There are reports of fierce fighting today near Kirkuk and Dohuk. The Kurds accuse the Iraqi army of the massacre of thousands of civilians. The Kurds still hold the city of Erbil. The burned-out tanks and damaged buildings testimony to the battle fought here. In the ruins of a building occupied by Iraq's secret police, more evidence of the brutality and repression that has kept Saddam Hussein in power. Hundreds of files of those arrested, jailed, and in many cases never released but executed. The method here was crude. A short rope was looped over the ceiling hook, and the victim, perhaps thousands of them, hanged. Some scratched last messages.
I feel sorry about seeing these places because most of my people, Kurdish people, are killed in these places.
The Kurds have also found one of Saddam Hussein's luxurious mountain retreats, complete with the kind of bed these fighters have never seen. For the Kurds, this luxury offers more proof of the disparity between their hard lives and the lives of those who have ruled them. In spite of the greater firepower of the Iraqi army, the Kurds say they will fight on. Sheila McVicker, ABC News.
For the first time in more than a month, Iraq has invited foreign journalists to return to Baghdad. Edward Storton, a reporter for ABC's European partner, ITN, was among the first to arrive in the Iraqi capital. He filed this report, which was cleared by Iraqi censors.
A service this afternoon for some of Iraq's small Christian minority. In this middle-class area of Baghdad, at least, the convulsions in the north and south of the country have not, it seems, interrupted the celebration of Easter. Some memories of the war with the Allies are fading too. Power has been restored here, though not throughout the city. Officials readily concede that in other areas, especially southern Iraq, the effort to restore basic services has only just begun because of the fighting. As to food, the capital again appears better off than much of the country. Plentiful vegetables on the stalls, though some foodstuffs come at a high price.
The 1 kilo of the milk was not more than 2 dinars. Now it's 8 dinars.
The newly appointed Prime Minister, Saddam Hamadi, tonight sought to reassure Iraqis that efforts are being made to meet their needs. He promised that business will be freed from red tape to encourage economic recovery and pledged to move towards democracy, though few details of what that might mean. Senior government officials we have spoken to today seem remarkably confident that the rebellion against Saddam Hussein will soon be a thing of the past. They say there's no longer any fighting in the south, that the north will shortly be back in government hands. Indeed, one claimed it could be just a matter of days. Edward Sturton for ABC News, Baghdad.
In Cairo today, Iraq joined 20 other countries for the first full meeting of the Arab League since Iraq invaded Kuwait. But the meeting fell apart after just an hour, and Iraq's envoy lashed out at other Arab nations for not supporting Iraq during the war. While Arab diplomats were trying to put out political fires in Cairo, a bunch of Texans were struggling to put out oil fires in Kuwait. More on that from ABC's Jim Bitterman.
For the first time since the Iraqis blew up and set fire to Kuwait's oil wells, a serious attempt was made today to extinguish one of the burning gushers.
I want maximum volume. Okay, let's go.
Boots Hansen of oil firefighters Boots and Coots maneuvered a steel cylinder over the wellhead and tried to put the fire out with huge quantities of water. Water which Hansen's local assistants did not seem able to provide.
I figured every goddamn bit I can get. 7 to 15 foot now, 1,200 gallons a minute.
After a modification in the cylinder, Boots and Coots tried again, but once again without success.
Naturally, you want it to work, but it's not that disappointing. It's just because it's just something that happens, and we'll mess around it. So we're going to keep trying to see if we can do this.
At the same time today, elsewhere on the same oil field, Red Adair's firefighters were attempting a less dangerous but complicated operation nonetheless.
It's kind of tricky stabbing that into that 2-inch hole there.
The well that Adair's team was working on had stopped burning on its own and needed to be capped. So, after forcing a hollow tube with a valve down into the wellhead, they turned the gusher off like a garden hose. Still, it seems the firefighting effort is moving forward at a slow pace. And tonight, more than 5 weeks after the Iraqis destroyed the first wellheads, it appeared Kuwaitis will continue choking on the smoke of their own oil wealth for some time to come. Jim Bitterman, ABC News, Kuwait City.
Coming up, South Africa's rival black leaders try to end bloody factional fighting. And later in this broadcast, an embarrassing and surprising admission from former boxing champ Sugar Ray Leonard.
World News Saturday, brought to you by Thompson's Water Seal.
Dear Thompson's,
Honey, I ran out of
midway through waterproofing our new deck, I ran out of Thompson's Water Seal and finished with another brand. 2 days later, it rained. It was amazing.
Wow.
You could actually see the Thompson side working. The other side looked like I hadn't used a thing.
Thompson's Water Seal has 50% more active ingredients than most brands for more waterproofing power.
You can see the difference. For my money, nothing tops Thompson's. And I proved it. Sincerely, Marcia Jackalone, Bassett, Wisconsin.
Everybody needs some money sometime. Everybody needs some cash sometime.
When you need money fast,
Hello, Tim.
only Western Union can get it to over 16,000 locations in minutes. Nobody else even comes close.
Just told me my sometime is
Western Union, the fastest way to send money.
South Africa's two most powerful black leaders held an urgent meeting in Durban today, a meeting aimed at slowing down black-on-black violence. But as ABC's Richard Sergey reports, the 5 hours of crisis talks failed to produce concrete results.
Amid increasing factional violence and increasing criticism that Mandela and Buthelezi has simply lost control of their supporters, the two leaders met again today in hopes of finding a way to end the conflict between their organizations.
We never said that by some magic wand the violence would disappear.
What we're trying to do is to normalize the relations and to create a situation where everybody will appreciate the value of peace.
Buthelezi suggested that he and Mandela should meet next with President de Klerk to discuss ways of ending the conflict, which in the Natal province today claimed 9 more lives. The fighting is reaching such levels nationwide that Archbishop Desmond Tutu warns that a culture of violence is taking over.
What has gone wrong that we have seemed to have lost our reverence for life? Something has gone desperately wrong when our leaders are not listened to by their followers.
While no dramatic breakthrough was announced today, both leaders may just be hoping that their goodwill could perhaps influence their followers. Richard Sergey, ABC News, Johannesburg.
In Moscow, Mikhail Gorbachev's chief critic came under some severe criticism himself today. Political maverick Boris Yeltsin, the president of the Republic of Russia, was accused of trying to install a new dictatorship and of shirking his responsibility for the republic's economic crisis. The attack came at a special session of the Russian Congress, which was called to hold a vote of no confidence in him. Yeltsin managed to head off that vote. Another ambitious political maverick who's getting a lot of attention in this country is Virginia Governor Doug Wilder. At a time when the most prominent Democrats are hesitating about challenging the immensely popular George Bush in 1992, Wilder is making no secret of his interest in the White House. ABC's Steve Shepard reports.
Hi, Lawrence Douglas Wilder. When he became America's first elected black governor last year, Douglas Wilder made history. This week, Wilder made it clear he wants to make history again. Thursday, he authorized a committee to explore his presidential prospects.
Are you an ambitious man, Governor?
I've been accused of it. But I try to gird that ambition with practicality and reality.
Wilder may not be a household name outside Virginia, But by visiting Iowa, New Hampshire, and elsewhere in recent months, he's trying to remedy that. Wherever he goes, he advertises himself as a mainstream Democrat, and his record backs him up.
His fiscal policy is on the moderate to conservative side. His social policy tends to be on the moderate to liberal side.
As governor, Wilder's been tight-fisted, cutting state spending and refusing to raise taxes. He can't easily be portrayed as a tax-and-spend Democrat. Another plus is his charm.
One of the things he's blessed with is this, this 150-watt personality, and I think that that's had a lot to do with his success so far.
Wilder's success has also come from his opponent's tendency to take him lightly.
One of the things that Doug Wilder wants you to do is lower your estimation of him, and then he'll just run you over.
Wilder lacks foreign policy experience, and critics say he is often stubborn, but they add that he must always be taken seriously. Wilder insists that in the race for the White House, he's just one of many potential Democratic candidates, and he doesn't believe his skin color will be any particular disadvantage.
Never pay any attention to artificial constraints. You can be whatever it is you choose to be.
Steve Shepard, ABC News, Washington.
In a moment, a successful experiment in creating a home for the homeless.
People who hurt from arthritis are discovering a safer aspirin, Ecotrin.
On a bad day, I can take up to 8 and not be concerned about irritating my stomach.
It's the orange coating that makes it safer.
Plain and buffered aspirin dissolves in the stomach where aspirin can cause irritation. But Ecotrin's safety coating helps protect your stomach from aspirin's irritation.
So I'm not worried taking the maximum dose.
Every 6 hours, pow, pow. For minor arthritis pain, the safer aspirin is Ecotrin. And that's the truth.
It's amazing how much scrap metal you get from a few cans of beer. Help fight drunk driving. See your Allstate agent.
Every time it rains,
The Discover card pays a cashback bonus on every penny you charge.
pennies from heaven.
It pays to Discover. Red Devil enamel. You can always count on its durable finish. Harder than ordinary paints, its beauty lasts and lasts. Red Devil enamel for the finish of a lifetime.
We built this business
To help you relax and unwind.
built this business.
To bring water to your home.
We built this business to build your life.
ITT built these businesses into leaders. We built them by taking care of people.
We built this business. We built this business to build your dreams. Built this business.
All across the country, Americans are becoming increasingly less tolerant of homeless people, now estimated to number as many as 2 million. But the city of Seattle may have found an effective new approach to the problem. It involves an experiment in self-rule for the homeless. That experiment was supposed to end this weekend, but Seattle officials say it proved too successful to abandon. Here's ABC's Ken Kashiwahara.
Mike Deacon and Jeff Spung earn $7 an hour as furniture movers. Both are homeless, part of a bold experiment trying to break the vicious cycle of seedy shelters and hostile streets. They are among 99 residents of a shelter run by the homeless for the homeless, who elect their own steering committee, set and enforce their own rules. No drinking, no weapons, no drugs, no panhandling.
The homeless people dealing with other homeless people and giving each other a helping hand makes a lot more sense than paying some guy $60,000 a year and having him driving a new Continental and coming in and telling us what's best for us.
Unlike many other shelters, there is no curfew, no restrictions on taking showers, no getting put out on the street every morning with all your belongings.
You can stay here during the day, you can leave your stuff here, and it will be here when you get back.
I got 3 job offers the first day, and it was all because I was able to shower and look presentable when I went on the job site, and I didn't have to carry my bags around with me.
They share the chores, keeping the shelter clean, manning the front desk, serving the food donated by local restaurants. 60% of the residents have jobs. Since the shelter opened in December, a third of the homeless have moved into permanent ejected from the shelter for violating the rules. Nearby residents of the affluent Queen Anne section of Seattle opposed the shelter at first, but have changed their minds.
As the time has gone on, we've seen a lot of progress and seen that people are trying to become self-sufficient and make a difference.
Despite the apparent success of the homeless shelter, not all its neighbors are welcoming it. Some business people, in fact, claim their business is being ruined.
They say many of the homeless who are turned away from the shelter wind up here, where they chase away customers by
very aggressive panhandling, high increase in robbery, drunkenness, defecating and urinating on the streets.
To combat the problem, shelter residents mount their own security patrols, trying to clean up the neighborhood, looking for derelicts and panhandlers.
We'd just like you to go somewhere else to do your thing.
With tomorrow's deadline for the shelter to shut down, the homeless could have been out on the streets again. But at the 11th hour, the city agreed to buy a motel, move shelter residents in, and allow them to continue what city officials say works, home rule for the homeless. Ken Kashwahara, ABC News, Seattle.
When we return, the cloak and dagger secrecy surrounding the defense of the America's Cup.
Dean Witter believed one thing that should distinguish his brokers is their ability to listen.
Listen not only to what our clients say, but what they mean. I have a vision about retirement. I know each client has a level of comfort.
You know me, I'm a planner.
There is no greater dividend a firm can earn than the confidence of its clients.
You've helped me make some good decisions.
There are many ways to measure success.
We measure success one investor at a time.
This is how the roomy new Cutlass Supreme SL looks after traveling 300 highway miles on just 10 gallons of gas. And this is how Honda Accord looks after the same challenge. Well, if it hadn't run out of gas 20 miles back, you'd see that it's smaller and it's blue. Next trip, Dad, it's yours. Who says you can't get great gas mileage in a roomy, comfortable car? Cutlass Supreme is one car that does it all and does it right.
This is the new generation of olds.
Studies with people who have had a heart attack or unstable angina show aspirin helped reduce their risk of a second heart attack. Ask your doctor about diet, exercise, and aspirin. This message from Bayer, the wonder drug that works wonders.
Is your car shaking, rattling, or rolling? Whether it's alignment, shocks, or struts, Midas uses top technology to diagnose the problem and top technicians to fix it. For suspension or alignment, nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
Did you know the cost of 2 business calls from these Detroit mechanics to Atlanta may surprise you?
Vintage cars are my specialty.
With AT&T Long Distance, your small business can get AT&T quality at extremely competitive prices.
I treat cars like people.
Even though the other company would like you to believe
See ya.
they always save you lots of money.
That's all I save? Drives you crazy, doesn't it?
Competitive price, another AT&T advantage.
Now let's go to Ray Gandolf in New York for the latest on a startling admission today from former boxing champ Sugar Ray Leonard and today's sports highlights. Ray?
Thank you, Carol. Well, a contrite Sugar Ray Leonard today confirmed published reports that he used cocaine and drank heavily for a 3-year period following an eye injury in 1982, which threatened his boxing career.
I can never, ever erase the pain or the scars that I have made through my stupidity, my selfishness. All I can do is sorry, but that's not enough.
Leonard said he never went through a rehab program, stopped using drugs when he looked in the mirror and didn't like what he saw. Tammy Reese of top-seeded Virginia scored 15 points, including 3 three-pointers, in a win over Connecticut in the semifinals of the NCAA women's basketball tournament. Deidre Charles had 18 points, 16 in the second half, as Tennessee came from behind to beat Stanford in the other semifinal. In the Jim Beam Stakes at Turfway Park in Kentucky, Hansel, ridden by Jerry Bailey, ran away from the favored Richmond in the stretch and into the Kentucky Derby picture, breaking the stakes and track record by more than 2 seconds. Ever since the Australians won the America's Cup in 1983 with a revolutionary keel, yacht racing has been a high-tech cloak and dagger sport. Secrecy is the watchword. Eric Gertz, the man who built boats for both American contenders this time, took us into one of his workshops, but not into his confidence.
The whole building is shrouded, so while we do have the doors open for ventilation, if you were standing outside, you could not see what was going on here inside.
What was going on inside was the building of a boat, which Team Dennis Connor hopes will be the one to defend the America's Cup in January of next year. We were permitted to take some limited pictures of the hull before mast, keel, and rudder were installed. It was a rare privilege.
What we're trying to prevent is anyone coming in and taking a photograph or a series of photographs that could then be taken to another America's Cup syndicate, be it a challenger or a defender. Good afternoon, America Cubed.
A half-mile down the road, Eric Gertz is building a boat for the other potential defender, the America Cubed syndicate. We were not allowed in there at all.
I shuttle back and forth, and my guys shuttle back and forth as they're needed, yes. I'm sure that the syndicates for whom we're working are trying to get as much information as they can about the foreign competition, as well as about each other.
Do you have spies?
No, all the spies come here.
Solved some of the security problems by having a completely separate facility and then swearing Eric to secrecy and swearing all of the employees that worked on it to secrecy. And also that we cut their heads off if they told on us.
More cloak, more dagger. It leaked out last week that America Cubed had another boat built by a high-tech aerospace outfit in Utah.
Got it? Okay.
Awaiting delivery of its two boats, America Cubed has been practicing on a boat bought from the French. These are a new type of yacht made of carbon fiber, longer and stronger than the old 12-meter class. They will race for the first time in the World Championships beginning in May off San Diego. And they are guarded like a vault full of gold because they're as precious as a vault full of gold.
The stakes are high here. Some of the challengers are out there spending $60 million to bring the America's Cup back to their country. And there's a lot at stake for us to keep the America's Cup in America.
Not many people care who challenges, who defends, or who wins. But those who do care very much. No matter who builds a boat out of whatever material, whatever the cost, it still has to be sailed. Somehow that's comforting. Carol?
Thanks, Ray. When we come back, have Bible, will travel.
We built this business
to help insure your dreams,
build this business
to make you feel safe and secure.
We built this business to build your future.
ITT built these businesses into leaders. We built them by taking care of people.
We built this business. We built this business to build your dreams. Built this business.
It's amazing how much scrap metal you get from a few cans of beer. Help fight drunk driving. See your Allstate agent.
Sunday on Brinkley, college sports. Too much money, too little education. Can there be reform? The president of UNLV and Duke's head basketball coach. Sunday.
Finally tonight, matchmaking may be an ancient art, but it's a service that always seems to be in demand. Big companies use professional headhunters to find the right person for the job. Lonely singles use computer dating services to find suitable romantic partners. But what do you do if you need a priest? Hilary Bowker reports on one sure way to find a match made in heaven.
Here in Ireland, the role of the parish priest extends well beyond the church doors.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Father Heber McMahon has time for his parishioners, and despite a busy schedule, time for himself. American priests, he says, are not so lucky.
They just have to keep going 7 days a week, and sooner or later they're going to burn out. And in former days, it was possible for them to ring up their colleagues in the next door parish or whatever, but now, because there are fewer and fewer priests, it's no longer that simple.
But it can be. Need a priest? Just phone Imelda. She gets calls from around the world, both from parishes who need help and priests with a taste for travel.
Australia, but you want to go very far. Who are you running away from?
What Imelda does, for a fee, is match them up.
But if there's a parish out there and they needed a priest, if there was one available straight away, he could be there the next day.
What began with an ad in a local paper just over 2 years ago is now what Imelda believes is the world's only temp agency for Catholic priests, with 350 clients.
Well, the Catholic Church, you see, it's the largest network in the world, and the word gets round.
All priests must be cleared by their bishop, but Imelda does the rest.
With Imelda, you applied. If you were accepted, she arranged the parish. She had investigated the place, whether it was suitable or not. She had met the priest. So if you like, all the hard work was done.
Leaving Ireland for something completely different does not seem to be a problem for the peripatetic priests.
Whether you're in Palm Beach or whether you're here in Kilmore, people need someone to, well, to talk to and someone to listen to their problems.
What getting away from all this provides the priest is a different viewpoint and a change of pace. This time it's Father McMahon's turn. Imelda has sent him to Boston, where she hopes to open a small office in the fall. Meanwhile, Father McMahon gets to see a new city. Parishioners, including patients in the neighboring hospital, get more attention.
There'll be a cross bearer there.
And Father Buck, the local priest, gets some help at Easter time. Imelda appears to have answered everyone's prayers. Hilary Bowker, ABC News.
And that's our report for tonight. Barry Seraphin will have more news later on the Weekend Report. I'm Carole Simpson. For all of us here at ABC News, good night and happy Easter.
From ABC News, this has been World News Saturday.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.